Hello and welcome to Behind Cold Eyes. I will be doing the eighth in the series called The Newborn King. And we have a guest, as you can see. This is Katarina, or Sugar Rush. I call her Sugar Rush or Katarina, and I call her the Zorina of the cats, among other things. So, just a little interesting thing I thought I'd share with you. As I said, when I was 18 and 19 years old, I had written these stories, and now they're on my hard drive, languishing away. But without further ado, I want to get this one out to the world as I did the others, if you've been following on YouTube and Facebook. This is called The Newborn King by me, Greg L. Sticker. Once in a certain village in the land was a family of 5. The head of the family was a man named Charles, who was the chief money counter and record keeper of the village. He was a strong man, devoted to his family. Charles was a stern man of discipline, making sure his 3 sons were obedient to their parents and to the laws of the land and to their God as well. The mother, Angela, was a loving mother and wife who was faithful in service to God and family. The sons were Marcus, the eldest son of 16 years, who was the tender of the family livestock; Andrew, who was the younger son of 14 years, who tended the garden; and Eric, who assisted both his brothers when not attending to whatever the mother or father needed. He was the youngest at 9 years old. The story begins in the latter part of the 12th month, when Marcus was talking to his youngest brother while at watch over the family flock of sheep and small herd of cattle. The two were sitting on a hill overlooking the pasture. It was sunset, and the boys were ready to go on in to their house nearby. While they waited for the hired farm hands to relieve them, Marcus asked Eric, "Have you thought of what is taught by the priest?" Eric replied, "Yes, that God is our life giver and is our help when we call him. Also that he's ever with us when—" Marcus interrupted, "I mean prophecy, like when a king is to come and unite the land and bring everlasting peace." Eric looked earnestly in his brother's questioning eyes. "Of course I believe." The hired hands then walked up the hill where the 2 boys were and bid them a good evening and relieved them of their duties. The next afternoon, Marcus was alone on the hill, for Eric was helping his father at the house. Then Andrew came and informed Marcus that the hands would be late because of some business that they had to attend to in their home village. Marcus agreed to watch, so long as he would not have to watch too long into the night, thus being late for bed, as he had to attend school the next day. It was about the 8th hour, and a strange star appeared in the eastern sky. This star was brighter than any of the others, so bright that Marcus could not look directly at it. He grew frightened, for he was alone on that hill. Just then he cried, "Whatever this is, I invoke God to keep it from me, lest it hurteth me." Then an angel, a being from beyond, came to him and spoke gently and said, "Do not be afraid, for I tell you of a glorious day, when your land shall have a king, and tonight that king is to be born." Overcome with feelings of joy and anticipation, Marcus asked, Where? Where is this king of the land born?" The angel put his arm on Marcus' shoulder and said, "Follow that star for the space of a mile, and off the road in the pasture in an abandoned stable. It is there that the baby boy and his parents are to be found." Marcus, feeling very surprised, asked, "A king is born in a stable?" The angel replied, "Do not let that trouble you, only believe." The angel vanished, and Marcus, after being relieved by the farm hands, walked down the hill to his house. As he entered the back door, he told calmly as he could of his experience to his parents. His father rose out of his chair in the family room, and his mother was nearby in the kitchen preparing supper for Marcus. Both parents were startled. Charles firmly said, "Son, do not tell stories. You are too old for that." Angela said, "Eat your supper and prepare for bed, Marcus. You must go to school tomorrow." Marcus was not about for his spirits to be dampened. He pleaded with his mother, "Mother, do you not believe that our land is to have a king?" Angela looked at her son pensively and said, "Son, you know that I believe in our faith." "But," Charles interrupted, "you do not expect us to believe that an angel appeared to a boy to herald such an important event, do you?" Marcus somberly sat at the dining table and began to eat. His parents then retired to the family room. When Marcus retired to his bedroom, he looked outside his window and noticed that the star was gone. Staunchly the boy said, "I know I saw a star. I also know I talked to an angel." Marcus prayed beside his bed. Andrew got up from his bed and said, "I believe you, Marcus." Marcus stirred and replied, "You were listening? I thought you were asleep." Andrew knelt beside Marcus. Both vowed to search for this stable with the newborn king and his family. They agreed to tend the animals together the next night, for it was the night before the weekend, and they did not have school the next day. The two brothers watched the animals when Andrew said, "Look at that bright star, would you? Bright as a sun." Marcus said in awe, "That is the same star I noticed last night." Andrew said, "Marcus, I'll get Eric. He can watch the animals. You and I can follow the star and find the baby." Marcus, pacing back and forth, said excitedly, "No, Eric is too young to handle those animals alone should they be in any danger. I'll follow the star. You watch the animals alone. I'll be back and tell you what I find." Marcus arrived after following for an hour. When he looked up, he noticed directly above him was the star. He looked out in the pasture, and there was a stable and a light coming from it. He ran to it, walked inside, and when he saw the babe, he said to his parents, "Excuse me, but this must be our king." The father answered, "The angel must have told you about us." "Yes," Marcus replied. The mother said, "We had to flee our village, for the wicked king was going to kill our baby." The father said, "That is why we had to come here, so my wife could give birth in peace." Marcus proclaimed, "Now that you are safe and the child is born, then by the prophets the child is saved from death." Astonished, the father said, "My son, you know the prophets." Marcus adored the baby for a half hour and then bade the parents farewell. At home, Marcus found Eric alone, watching the animals. "Eric, where is your brother?" Nervously, Eric answered, "In the house. He made me to watch the animals. I'm sorry." Marcus hugged his youngest brother and said, "That is all right, for just outside our village, but a mile, is our newborn king." While Eric intently listened, Marcus told of the angel and then of the baby in the stable. The next day, Eric was unexplainable in his happiness. He did house chores without his usual attitude of not wanting to work alone. Charles said that it was good that he was pleasant about his work, and Angela said that she wanted to know the reason for Eric's change. The three boys knew, however, and on the Sabbath the next day, Eric tarried in the temple after worshiping and pleadingly told the priest of the events of the preceding couple of days. The priest demanded to be taken to Marcus. The priest asked Marcus if he saw the baby king. "Yes, I did." Charles curiously wondered what this was all about, and the three brothers said it was the babe who will become king of the land, the one who will usher in a new age of peace. With this, the father demanded that the boys accompany him to the site of the baby's birth. The boys got into the horse-drawn carriage. And that is it. That is quite a long one, and as I said earlier, and I hope that she was entertained by it, and you were entertained by it also. Have a good day, and remember to stay safe.